Welcome back, everybody. It's the one known as CR, and welcome to this creative chit chat with me, where I talk about that CR word that I seem to always enjoy talking about. Always notice when people say it all the time. I notice it all the time. It just like every other CR word, but specifically this CR word because apparently I say it a lot more probably than most other channels out there. So welcome back, everybody. Hopefully everyone's doing well. Welcome to this creative chit chat with CR here. I see Mr. Dave Knights in here. That's with a K. I see you found my stream. Hopefully you're doing well. Well, and hi everyone. Wave vigorously. I'm waving vigorously. So hopefully everyone's doing well. And this is, like I said, a chit chat. Me talking about creativity. This is not so much about what you make out there, but kind of why you make it, how you make it. That's basically the gear portion of it. It's more of that kind of the knowledge, the skill, the experience of it. Uh, no, it's not noon on the West Coast. It's like past 1 PST, 2 o'clock Mountain, 3 o'clock Central, 4 o'clock Eastern, 5 o'clock Atlantic. Dave. So, like I said, hopefully everyone's doing well. So, what? Let's just go in order here. What is this word that CR uses all the time? Creative, all right? I say it all the time because obviously it's part of the channel name. But what does it really mean, right? Creativity comes from the word, obviously, create. And the word create is a word, well, another word for making, producing, putting something together. So creativity is an expression of that wanting to make something, whatever it is. And a lot of you out there, and I say a lot of you, if not the majority of you out there, do some form of creation or create some form of creating out there and expressing your own creativity in one form or another. It doesn't matter if you're part of the bushcrafting community, the preparedness community, the gardening community, the gaming community, the I'm gonna review this gear type of community, and of course, the content creators out there, right? You'll express your creativity, your willingness to want to create something all the time. It just goes on and on. What's up, James? Yeah, I'm making something. Not necessarily for nothing, but making something, right? Making a maker, right? A maker. Like I remember this one. I was talking to someone, right? And she's like, "Oh, so you're one of those makers, right?" And I'm like, "Yeah, yeah, yeah. You can say it like that. I like to create." you know, I didn't use the CR words, but I'm like, "Yeah, I'm kind of one of those makers, right? I kind of like to put tinkle with things, put things together, combine things together, just like how I do it sometimes on the combination mode live streams, which I haven't done in a while. But hopefully it'll make a return this year again. Because I I always see every time, especially watching the videos out there, especially here on the YouTube side, people making something, right? Putting something together, regardless of the materials, regardless if it's wood, plastic, some sort of fabrication with metal, paper, even, right? You know, like I have a story like when I was really young, let's say how long ago was that? A long time ago. when it was when I was a very, very small CR, I didn't have many, toys. I had some, don't get me wrong, I had some, but you know, one of my one I'm trying to remember, I think it was like 12, maybe 11. One of the toys I started to make, I actually did make a toy. I actually did make like origami toys, or like origami toys, yeah, the art of paper folding, right? So I would make like paper airplanes, little stick figures, little frogs, and stuff like that. Little, little paper balls. Well, actually, an origami type of square or cube, I should say, and stuff like that. I just had fun with that. I still faintly remember that too. I had those for like a good couple, well, good couple of months until school started again. All right, amongst some other things. Let me just check back up on my chat here. You're putting together a joint from what I created. Oh, okay, okay, okay. I see it. I see it. I see it. Yeah, and it's just one of those things. Like even in my, you know, senior years time, high school and stuff like that, still remember this. I don't know what I would call it. A diorama. I don't know. I'll just call it a diorama for a lack of a better word. Insert word diorama because I can't think of another word right now. But we were doing this kind of, well, it's not really an essay, but like I needed some visual aids for this report that we had in I think that was in English class. What were we read? Oh yeah, To Kill a Mockingbird. So I made this diorama, this three-dimensional diorama from scratch using paper. Remember what I said? I've done origami in the past, right? It's been a while since I've done it, but remembering that cube that I said I made when I was younger, well, let's just say I made a whole bunch of small ones and I glued them to something, a trunk, let's just say, for lack of a better word, and I made this diorama with green paper to make a kind of a tree out of it, a paper tree. Yeah, I still remember that. It was about the size of, let's say, a little bit twice as big as, well, maybe three or, well, actually, twice as big as like a shoebox, for example, right? Took up twice as much area, probably twice as tall. The tree, the tree was like, I don't know, about 3/4 a foot, 8 inches tall, about six, I don't know, 19 centimeters for everyone else. It was just one of those things. I just brought it to school. Everyone's like, it's like, what's this for, Sierra? I'm like, oh, it's for English class, for to kill a mockingbird, the book, right? Because I was redoing this scene in the book. I'm trying to remember it now. I think I tried to put a swing in there. I tried to, but yeah, just something I had. And the thing is, I had to keep it around for a while because I didn't have that class until the afternoon, so I had to bring it into school in the morning time because I wasn't taking off back home for lunch. So I had to keep it in one of the spare classroom. I asked one of my teachers, I'm like, "Can I keep this over here?" It's like, "I need this for later for English class." I needed it, right? So I just walk into the afternoon class with it, and everyone's just like looking at me. It's like, "What's this?" It's like, "I don't know. It's a diorama. It's a visual aid." All right. So there's a story right there. I haven't shared much or ever shared on the channel. So it's something I did a long time ago, even before I started the channel, obviously. All right. Hey, look, CR's live. Hi. Hi, Huga. Hi, CB. Hi, Nita. How are you both doing? Yeah, and this reminds me. Speak of school, this reminds me of uh, home ec class now. I know, and I'm bringing the food topic, but thank goodness I ate before the stream. Yeah, I ate before I started the stream because I knew I was going to be talking about it. Yeah, that's it. But like even cooking is a form of creativity to a certain degree because you're creating, especially like something like baking, for example, right? Like baking, let's say a cake or something along the lines of that, right? You're bringing ingredients together, right? I mean, it could be as more simplistic as apple crumble, for example, right? You got apples that you dice or, well, you peel, you core it out, you slice it into nice slices, right? Maybe add some, soak it in some lemon so it doesn't turn brown necessarily right away, right? Because the exposure to the air and stuff like that, you know. Then you start creaming, mixing in the ingredients, combining those ingredients together. You're creaming butter with sugar. Yes, I do know. I do know that. I do remember that terminology. Hopefully, my home ec teacher would be proud of me that I'm remembering that. But that is a form of creating, right? And yes, I have made apple crumble before. I actually was gonna show that. However, that hard drive I had it on kind of failed, so I lost that footage. But I remember making that with one of my friends. With one of my friends, me and her were just making it. It was over the fall time, probably in like I don't know, early November, late October. No, it was after Halloween, so it was after November. We were just making it. That's so much fun. It was so good too. You guys would have liked it. I wish I had the pictures for that. I mean, I could still remember that time. It was so. It was nice. It was nice. It was nice just bringing these ingredients, these materials together, and creating something awesome. And in this case, it was something good to eat. Mm, yeah, maybe I should eat more before the stream. I'm self-inducing hunger pains by talking about it, but yeah, so bad. Hey, Sally Cat, how are you doing, Sarah? Welcome, welcome. Oh, you're making shepherd's pie? Nice, nice, nice. Oh, you did bake today. See. Well, at least everyone's like thinking about food. Yeah, be happy while cooking. Yeah, there's something about that, right? Because you're bringing in the ingredients together, whatever it is, right? Regardless if it's a stew, a soup, you're baking, or whatever, right? Maybe you have to do it for work purposes. You're a chef or something like that, so you gotta add so make it. You gotta plate it, and stuff like that. Add some garnish to it and stuff like that. I'm still remembering all those times. Oh, you guys are just reminding me of that. Those memories are just coming back about me creating a home ec class amongst my other classes I took. I mean, I took other classes too, which could be in a form of creativity too, or creating because sewing classes, uh, shop class, and stuff like that. I actually have this one item that I did in my sewing class. I actually still have it, by the way. It's an apron. I actually still technically have it. Maybe I'll show it on the channel one of these days. maybe the next time I show some food or whatever, or to cook or put something there, maybe I'll bring it onto the channel and something like that. It's got well, food items on top of it. I still remember that. It was one of the first things we created in sewing class. Yeah, the apron was one of the first things we did. I wish I had this other item that we did. I don't know what happened to it. I thought I still had it. I still have the little pouch I made, but I don't know why I can't find a bigger item. But I guess it is what it is, right? Back when I was using a sewing machine and all that stuff. And that reminds me, we all can create something. In that same way, when I was taking sewing class, I wasn't the only guy in the sewing class, right? There was other guys in the sewing class, right? Don't get me wrong, the majority of the class was females, right? But it was kind of cool to see, well, guys in the class too, right? Because it really showed. And in that same way, when I took shop class, right? There was a lot of males in the class, but there were some females in the class too, right? And it really shows that, creating isn't gender specific, right? A guy can sew or tailor just as well, as good as a female, and a female can do wood projects or fabricate something just as well as a male can, right? You know. So when I see you guys out there putting something together, it always brings a smile to my face. I'm like, especially if it's food, but these projects that people put together, whatever it is, you're making a table from, I don't know, you're making something to put your canned goods on, right? It always brings a smile to my face. I'm like, these things came together, these resources, these materials came together with the help of some tools like a saw, maybe a level, you know, a T square or something like that, and just there's just something about that. And then you think about it, throughout most, if not all, of human history, right? Things were created, right? I mean, there's some animals out there that can create stuff. Like, don't get me wrong, right? But usually it's very more primitive in nature, right? Like using a rock or something like that to make a coconut or something, or a nut, I should say, right? Because we don't have the claws, the beaks, etc., right? So we had to create these tools, yes, create these tools in the first place to help us break open a shell, break open a coconut, etc., right? Dig for stuff in the ground, right? Obviously, you know, in the Stone Age, it was with stone, you know, wood type of materials like a stick and stuff like that, right? And also, someone figured out how to do some flint knapping, where pretty much you chip away the edge of rocks and stones to create an edge, which could be used for cutting purposes and as a cutting tool, right? That was the first example of a cutting tool, right? And that changed everything, right? Because because we physically don't have the capability to do certain things, just but we had the, how do I say, not the knowledge, but the willingness, I guess, for lack of a better word, to try something and realize, hey, if I did this and did this, I can create something that can help me with this, and then it started to catch on, right? And that knowledge, for example, flint knapping, got passed down, right? And honestly, it migrates all the way to present time, right? And thus, hence, we have a lot of things now, right? A lot more things, right? Such as the snowblower that's beside me. Let me see. Back to my channel. Yeah, I'm doing good. You need to go back to basics on sewing. Uh, I've been doing a lot of hand sewing lately, Sarah. So everyone knows. Oh, by the way, there is a video out tomorrow. Another one. So yeah, that's a little sneak peek on that one. It's a quicker video. Somewhere I shot quite a bit, quite a long time ago. Well, I shouldn't say a long time ago, but like last month. Oh yeah, last month because it was like it's only the 7th today. So yeah, last month. So yeah, it's a darn well good video, I believe. Right? You know, but if you think about it, right, those cutting tools of the past allowed us to get hides, and then allowed us to have some form of cover or shelter elements, right? And then obviously expanded from there, right? And obviously someone discovered had to create fire, right? Right? It's probably with like, you know, um, what's the word I'm looking for? What's the word's not coming to mind? I don't know why it's not coming to mind. I'm thinking of every other word that's for it, but basically, the hand drill. Yes, the hand drill method of doing it, right? And someone figured that out, right? And that knowledge got passed down. And also, we have modern day convenience items of those, forms of fire, right? Obviously, lighter, matches, you know, modern day flint and steel to a ferrocene rod, right? Like even, inform in terms of creating, right? You know, even the solar options out there, right? Some Fresnel lens or whatever, right? That's all based on the past, right? Someone using glass to create something, right? And realizing that you can make objects out of it or things out of it, or use it to make some sort of concave type of lens that you can use to see things up closer or things that are smaller up, make them bigger. So from the smallest of things, like a microscope, all the way down up to like those humongous, um, usually now used with mirrors instead of lenses because of weight restraints, to these giant telescopes, right? And these telescopes we have out in space, right? That all started from someone creating something probably in a prototype, a small scale, and realizing, hey, this is useful, right? You know, and sometimes that's why people create something is because they realize, hey, I want to create something to help me do something. You know, for example, to see something up closer or to see something smaller and make it appear bigger. And hence, for everyone that wears glasses or corrective lenses, contacts and such, right? That's just an extension of that, right? I wear glasses, right? I'd be blind or at least not be able to see too far because without my glasses, right? So, you know, we're very lucky that someone came up with that, right? Or created that in the first place because it allowed us, or at least me, to actually see, corrective lenses and stuff like that. Your school switch over boys to a Coleman, schools to short class. They need to bring that back. Yeah, yeah, right. The creation part, the creative classes too. Like I'm not saying like math, history, social studies, English class, science classes are not important, right? But remembering that, history, how to write, basic type of math, science type of knowledge is important. But hands-on type of creating, well, hands-on type of experiences or doing stuff in the form of creating is also important too, right? Because those type of skills can be very useful in the real world, or real world type of situations where you're gonna put something together on the fly, maybe even improvise it, right? And realizing that many of us, if not all of us, are capable of doing that. So let me know in my side chat right now or in the comments section on Shadow to the Replay Gang, right? What have you done to create today? Or express your creativity today? I would like to know. I would like to know. It brings a smile to my face. It really does. You know, especially when I'm seeing people create from like scrap materials or reusing or reclaimed or recovered materials, right? It just shows that, you know, it always motivates me. It encourages me too, right? With a CR in it. Because when I see you guys just putting something together, right? It just there's just something about that, right? Like I know right now we're coming into the springtime, right? It's a couple of weeks away from the official day of spring, and a couple of months until real spring happens. But a lot of us are getting into gardening, right? And gardening is a form of creating. If you really think about it, I mean, like you gotta put together, let's say, some garden bed, right? You're you're bringing resources together like seeds, uh, soil, dirt, water, right? And creating something out of that to obviously either use as a tea, eat, or something along the lines of that. And you know, and you're just kind of sculpting it into something that's very useful at the end, right? Obviously, till harvest and stuff like that, right? Like even to the point where I've started to use the sunflower stalks that I've been growing and using it as material to create with, because I'm actually been using them, especially last year, to create rudimentary, basic form of a trellis, just to support some other stuff I had. I think I used it for the tomatoes I had because I I kind of grew a little bit too much and it kind of got a little out of control, and I kind of needed a little bit more support in it. So I kind of decided, I'm like, well, you know what? Let's take this resource and create with it, and use that material to create something. Then I for this problem I have, right? Because my the bushes of the tomatoes were kind of getting a little bit heavy, just a tad, just a tad. I'll have to work on that personally this year a little bit more, but it's just one of those things that, yeah. Let's see where we got here. Oh yeah, yeah, okay. Let's go. Who? Well, technically, you're writing something, right? So you actually have to create the conversation. Right. It's just like writing, well, also it's not like writing an essay, right? But you have to put your create like using the words to create a picture, right? To persuade something or to show well what you got, or you know, so you can get accepted, right? You know, even these classes, right? If you know someone had to come up with the the idea of it, and you know the knowledge behind it, right? Put it to get bring it together into a package, right? In some form of a package, whatever it is, right? You know, you know, like a manual or something like that, right? Someone had to bring that knowledge together and create something like class, for example, right? You know, you're putting up a privacy fence or a kind of panel to get creative and use content braces and the longest wood panels to the longest wood panels on the existing one. Does yeah. Well, Fugu, you had to bring these resources together, right? You had this problem, or issue or situation, right? And you have to think of a way to create a solution to help you out, right? To a certain degree, that is a form of creating, right? Like I've said, and I've said this on our channels, and I've said this on my own channel, my own streams, our panels. There's many forms of being creative out there, or creating out there, or making, or producing out there, right? There is. There is. Doesn't matter if you're in some fast food place, someone's putting together your sandwich slash sub or whatever, right? Putting your order there. To a certain degree, there is some creation in there, right? Because obviously someone's gonna put it together. Because yeah. All the way down to like, you know, making or putting something together, right? Look at that, look at that IKEA stuff, right? Or that stuff that says assembly required, right? Well, you're gonna put it together, right? So you're gonna, the materials have already been created, right? Someone's already created instructions. You're just kind of finishing off that creation process of it, right? And putting it together, just like that other video that I did, right? Where I was helping someone put together a desk. Took a couple hours, right? But like I said in that video, right? At the end, right? I helped him do it because I enjoyed that, right? Or as I said it in that video, it's because I like to create. Which I said near the end of that video. All right. Or if you didn't see that, well, it's also as a reel on Instagram. So it's just one of those things where, you know, it brings joy to my life. Because there's just something about putting something together, all right? Creating something. There's just something about that, all right? Especially if it's something that you want to do, or it's fun to do, or it's gonna help you out, right? Because when it's completed, I mean, it's just that joy of when the creation process is over, or the project or whatever is completed, whatever it is, right? And for me personally, especially if I'm putting it together with my own two hands, kind of deal, or bringing the resources together or the materials together in the first place to create it, right? Almost like it was always meant to be. Like I have this one thing. I have mentioned this before quite a while ago, a year ago or whatever, right? I was helping someone clear out a grant, right? They had this old desk, right? I didn't actually need that desk portion of it, right? But there was doors on like the cabinets or whatever, right? Three sets of doors, all the same size, right? And my friend's like, "Hey, Sierra, we're just getting rid of it. You don't need to do that," because I was dismantling it, right? I was like, "Oh no, 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 no! I'm dismantling it because I want to reuse the doors." He's like, and my friend at that time is like, "Oh, okay, okay, okay. What are you gonna make out of it?" I'm like, something, right? And I just kind of, you know, a couple of days later, when I actually brought those doors back outside, well, because I did outside, right? I had this idea. I'm like, and kind of metaphorically speaking, thinking outside the box. I'm like, hey, you know what? These are all the same size, same dimensions, right? And I look over at my kind of spare parts drawer. I'm like, I've got some screws and some nails. And I look over here. I'm like, hey, wait a second. I got a cordless drill with a bit. I'm like, So I combined those items together to create a shelf for something I needed. And it just happened to fit in this one spot I needed it. Like almost like it was always meant to be. And the thing is, every time I look at it, it always reminds me of my friend because that's where I got the materials from, right? So that resource kind of lives on, right? And I have that memory of that situation, and the good times I enjoyed helping them out and such. Some drops I see in there. Yeah. Yeah, I see yeah, Huga. You're already tired drops? Well, really, you dropping by. Oh, you just put together a dish rack for your wife? Oh, nice. Cool. Let's see. Those braces are comics, not fences. The hardware store requires creativity at all times to fix the problems, and the guys at the hardware store know how I am doing stuff. Out of the box thinking, LOL. Let's see, did I miss anything? Okay. I feel like creativity requires a bit of bravery to take risks. Yeah, right? Because sometimes you're not, you can kind of picture it in your mind how it's going to be brought together, but until it actually is physically in the real world put together, it's just a theory, right? So you're going to put it together to be like, hey, it's not just a theory, it's or a prediction. You have something a little bit more concrete, something actually more less abstract, and more hands-on that you can actually see, feel, hear, whatever, right? Smell, whatever it is, right? Regardless if it's woodworking, cooking, or making a garden bed or something, right? Like even creating a creating a plan. All right, let's go for creating a plan. All right, you know, you're bringing ideas together, right? In terms of an essay, you're bringing words together to create this message, for lack of a better word, to express those and use those words to express this situation, this feeling you have, right? Like poetry usually is an expression of the mind, right? And you're using those words to express the feeling, whatever it is, right? I know. The roses are red, the violets are blue, blah blah blah, and it's something else entirely new. I just made that up, by the way, right? I just made that up, right? But you're gonna be brave to put that forth, right? Because yeah. I want to show you guys stuff like I created this earlier, by the way. Especially now that my phone's actually charged up. Not even joking. Oh, by the way, I still have snow outside. Come on, camera. Turn it on. Look, I made this just for you guys. Just for the stream, I made this just see? Great. I made it just for this stream. Literally, I made it just for the stream. And such, right? And then I have something on the side right here. You can see the shadow of it. That's something else I made to help me in the winter time, right? All right. I just created that. Is it an original idea? No, I'm not saying it's an original idea, right? A lot of things nowadays, it's hard to have those original ideas. What's up, Bark? How are you doing, my friend? Hopefully you're doing well. You know, you know. So if you, hopefully everything's doing better, anyways, for you. Yeah, I'll say it like that. I don't know about that, Hugo. I don't know about that, but I guess Critical does have CR in it. So I guess that's one thing, alright? But it's just something, you know, putting together something, like I said, alright? You know, maybe it's using like some old pallets to make a compost bin, for example. I know you gardeners out there and such, right? That do things like that, right? That is a form of creating, all right. Because you're bringing these resources that are potentially or at that moment in a not so useful state, back into a useful state. And all it took was maybe you moving them to their positioning, standing them up, making a wall, putting some screws in, maybe some power tools or some hand tools or fasteners to connect them together. And the next thing you know, and a couple of months later or a year later, you got a compost bin that's producing compost, right? And of course, the microbes, the fungi, and all that stuff are creating their own kind of home in it and helping you out. And in return, you're going to get that nice, awesome, rich biomass material to help your garden, which I think my garden's probably gonna need a little bit more warmth here. So share this out because I'll feel warmer if I want to share stuff, and maybe send some heat my way. I appreciate it in advance, right? But don't worry, don't worry. I will receive some heat later on this week. Later on this weekend, next week. I am supposed to expect to see above freezing. The snow is actually slow. It's not technically above freezing, but because it's sunny out midday, the snow is melting a tad. So, but I would appreciate a little bit more. You know, heat wave. I would appreciate that. 'Cause I'm actually looking forward to the spring. Whenever it shows up. So yeah. Speak of which, I can't believe it's still cold out, or at least cold enough that my battery's still dropping significantly fast. I swear I was in that time that I just unplugged it and to show and talk there, my battery already dropped so fast. I could plug it back in here. Let's see, where am I? Yeah, that's it. That's it. Oh, no, 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 oh, never mind. You're right. Answering, art. Never mind. Forget what I said right there. I digress. I should have looked at the chat before assuming, but yeah. Let me see, where am I at? Okay. Oh, I got a thermos of nice hot coffee here, and I think right now I'm gonna pour me a little bit of this. Will pick me up here. Cheers, everyone, with a CR in it. Yeah, nothing like nice hot coffee, a nice sunny day, nice blue skies, and a bunch of snow on the ground still, but we need it anyways. Right. Unfortunately, I didn't get the snow until late in the season because I wanted to actually make another snow quincy this year, this season, but back in the and I mean I could do it now, but the thing is, I'm not to be able to use it long enough because I'm pretty sure it's just gonna melt away by the end of life. If it was back in December still and I had this much snow, then I probably would have, and to an extension, and to extend that creation part of it, the snowman or snow person, snow angel is for being creative too, right? You're making something, or snow fort or snow castle or something like that. I mean, I've seen a couple of those videos out there where people are making like using ice to make sculptures and stuff like that. And you see those in like urban areas or towns or whatever, right? As part of the artistic form of creating, right? Where they're sculpting with ice, right? They're using let's see, obviously water, right? And like chainsaws to sculpt something really interesting, right? I mean, I've seen a couple of those in person. They're really interesting, because if you think about it, yeah, they probably planned it out to a certain degree, have experience at it, right? But they're pretty much seeing something in their mind and putting it from what's in their mind into the real world for everyone else to see. whatever the sculpture is, right? You know, maybe it's a dog or whatever, right? There's something about that, right? When I see those two, it just looks really cool, right? I'm not really an artistic type of person or an artist per se, but I do like some of that stuff just because it looks really cool, especially those sculptures that are really really intricate, right, and stuff like that. So yes, those are really cool. No pun intended. Yeah, that sounds like me drops. I'm done with it's already March. I'm done with it. I'm looking I'm looking forward to springing into spring. Definitely looking forward to it. Can't wait. Definitely can't wait now. I do have some projects that I want to get started, but the snow has to melt first. But before the snow melts, the temperature has to rise, and before the temperature rises, well, we need a little bit more warmer Western Pacific Southern warm air come up here. It'll be nice, but it is really nice in the sun right now. It's probably like just below freezing right now. Probably like 28, 29 Fahrenheit. Probably like -1, -2 out Celsius. So it's quite well. It's definitely nicer because this morning was like -5 Fahrenheit, -23 Celsius. So yeah, the temperature's rising. So I can't wait. It's gonna be awesome. And speak of that, that reminds me of you know another thing. Especially, I know Ark's in here right now. I know you do the karaoke thing over on your channel every so often, right? You know, songwriting, right? Like I mentioned about this like with the poetry thing, right? But songwriting, right? It's a form of creativity because the expression, right? You're bringing these words together with a beat or some musical instrument, whatever it is, and you're creating a feeling with these words and this beat or this music, right? Whatever it is. From old school rock and roll, Motown, all the way to whatever it is nowadays with uh, hip hop and rap and all that stuff, right? You know, it is a form of creativity because you're expressing it. You're expressing this feeling through these words, through this music, right? Where you could feel it, right? And I, I was, I've always enjoyed music, by the way. I've always enjoyed music. I've always enjoyed music. I've always enjoyed music because there's just something about that feeling you get from it. Regardless whatever you listen to, right? Doesn't matter if you're listening to some opera, some hip hop, some rap, some old school rock, old school uh, Motown, whatever it is, right? You know, even if it's just instrumental type of music, right? You know, there's something about that feeling you get from it, right? Because it can make you happy, drive you to do something, motivate you, right? Get you to keep on going, right? You know, if you're running or doing a marathon or doing exercises, right? There's something about listening to music that keeps you going, right? That motivates you, right? In that same way, that reminds me how, as a content creator, especially one that edits, right? I'm trying to actually when I do bring in the music or some sort of background music, right? I'm always trying to find something that actually works well with the content I'm presenting. You know, so if it's an up, I'm trying to like my nature type of walks. I try to make it kind of like not necessarily soft, but kind of upbeat, like makes you want to move, right? That kind of feeling of it, right? And just like, and always remembering to like, whenever possible, to match my move, whenever possible, to match the movements of the video to the audio soundtrack or the audio that I'm using, whatever it is, right? And just kind of, there's something about that, especially when I can time it the first time, like on the first try. There's just something about that where I didn't have to try for the next 20 minutes trying to get this timing down. And it's just like I get the timing down on the first try. There's something about that. I'm just like, and I start to feel the music that I'm using, whatever it is, regardless if it's got a chorus or vocals in it, but that instrumental part of it. There's something about that, like I said. Alright, it's looking at the side chat real quick. Because actually, I have my phone charging and I'm actually standing right outside. Because, like I said, it's nice and sunny out. Just something about this. And remembering what Mother Nature creates for us, too, right? You know, like the flowers that eventually we'll see. Or I'm looking at a tree that'll eventually, like, blossom, have some buds on it for some leaves and all that stuff, right? After all this frozen white stuff disappears and melts away again. You know, Mother Nature will create her own things too, right? You know, she Mother Nature knows how to combine a few things together too, right? A little sunlight from the sun, a little raindrops ever randomly or mist, right? And that's where we see a rainbow, right? And 7 colors across the sky. There's something about that too, right? A lot of people like to see a rainbow. There's something about that too, right? And that's just something our nature creates for us to see, right? Or for us to notice, anyways, right? Because remember, a rainbow is all by that angle, right? At certain angles, you can't see a rainbow, but if you're in the right spot, you'll see it as a rainbow. You'll see the colors, right? And there's something about that, right? Where you see that red, orange, yellow, green, blue, indigo, violet of colors, right, in there. I almost feel like painting a picture right now. there's there's just something about uh, I feel like I could talk about this on and on because frankly, there's a lot of things out there, man-made and natural, that are created, right? That are brought together to do something, whatever it is, or to show us something, right? And stuff like that. So let me know, everyone, while I'm taking a drink here, what are you guys and gals doing to create today or to express your creativity? You know, whatever it is, right? Whatever it is. Maybe you're cooking, maybe you're writing poetry, maybe you're building, actually physically building something, right? Maybe you're building that greenhouse that you wanted, all right? A lot of more people are getting into gardening and stuff. Maybe you're building that greenhouse or planning it out, right? You have some blueprints or whatever you're thinking about it, right? You're going through that creation process of it. And I see you, Chipper, by the way, when I was getting my coffee here. I see you, man. Take care, Chip. Well, yeah, what are you guys doing out there, right? I mean, because I've been thinking of bringing in some of this other creative stuff, right? Like I've shown sewing, I've shown making a few things, right? I've even shown the editing to a certain degree, right? but I'm thinking of bringing some other things into the mix, right? Because on this channel, frankly, I create. So anything that can be created, maybe I need to bring this more in, and maybe it'll be good for my spirit too, my creative spirit, among some other things, right? So it's not just about the sewing, the coffee, the cooking, the fabrication, the editing, right? But it's all of it, because those are all forms of creating for me. Even to the point, for some people that see me in some other side chats or panels, right? I've been trying to create this like punctuation. Yes, punctuation of humor. I've been trying to actually incorporate that into, right? And sometimes I'm doing that on the fly, right? Winging it, right? Because it gets me thinking about the words, right? What they mean, what they sound like, and stuff like that. I'm trying to create some humor in there, right? And especially, to kind of break up the kind of serious talk a little, and just to, get people smiling too, right? And then shows that I'm paying attention to the words that I'm hearing on the stream that people are talking about, right? Don't get me wrong, I'll be serious too, right? Don't get me wrong, but there's just something about when I see people either type LOL, have their smiley face emojis on the screen, or the panel members or the hosts are actually smiling and laughing, right? Because that feeling, right? You know, some good laughter or some happy thoughts, right? And trying to create something positive as much as possible. I hope that makes sense. I hope that makes sense. Because to be honest, I didn't actually script this whatsoever. I didn't script this whatsoever. Even though I actually have talked about creating in the past. I've done a very similar stream back in, I don't know, 2017, 2018. It's been a while since I did this specific stream topic for a while. But I figured, you know what? Spring's around the corner. We're entering into this transitional period. You know, the birds are going to be building those nests out there. People are building some greenhouses. People are building up the soil, right? Creating some better soil out there for composting or chop and drop or amending the soil, and stuff like that. And maybe some people are creating some garden beds. I'm like, you know what? Let's talk about it because I want to. And I needed a stream topic anyway. Uh, you replanted some cabbage? But the cutworm got two. Yeah. At least you still got some, right? Alright, right? At least it's not zero. Something's still better than zero. At least you still got something, right? Oh, and hopefully it'll all pan out at the end, right? Hopefully your harvest will be very abundant, plentiful, and stuff like that. I always appreciate when my harvests are plentiful and my creations come together, whatever it is, right? Especially if it turns out better than I actually planned it or anticipated or imagined it, right? Because, every time you're creating something, whatever it is, right, you always kind of have you can kind of picture it in your mind, right? But until it's actually done or actually reached its final position, or the process that was over, you're not quite sure how it'll turn out until it's actually done, right? Until you actually see the finished product, right? But once you see that finished product, you're just like, that's kind of saying, it was worth the blood, sweat, and tears for this. Look what I put together, right? It took me 7 days to do this, 2 weeks to do this, but it's finally done, everyone. And here it is, right? Whatever it is. Maybe it's a shed that you put together, right? I remember helping someone quite a when was this? 2014, 20. I think it was 2014. I helped someone put together a shed. Now they had the blueprints, right? But this is a shed that was not prefabricated, right? You know, this was put together with wood screws based on the plan, right? I actually helped them put together, right? Yeah. I enjoyed that process so much. I don't know if I still have this other picture of it, but I'll see if I can find it. But there's just something about that, right? Because I helped them put it together, right? From the from the foundation, well, to what you would call as a foundation, to the walls, to the ceiling, and such, right? Someone else is using it now, but I always remember that. I'm like, yeah, you know, you see the shed over here? Everyone's like, yeah, yeah. I helped someone put this together. And I'm like, really, really, Sarah? You helped? Yeah, a long time ago, right? You know, with power tools and such, right? Like saw, also with what's that? Um, a table saw. Yes. For some reason, I couldn't see that word in my head. With like a table saw, a T square, a right angle, and stuff like that, a level and such, right? Obviously, with the screws and nails as fasteners and stuff like that, right? A couple of shingles at the top, right? The next thing you know, you put the door on, and the next thing you know, you're just like, you know, it's all coming together like it was always meant to be, right? And these raw resources, fasteners, all came together during the production, creative process of doing this, and created something useful, something that could be used, in this case, to store tools, lawnmower, whatever, stuff like that, for gardening purposes or whatever, right? And it was just like, I really enjoyed that time. There's just something about that. Because I do enjoy when people involve me in the creation process of something. Because there's just something about that for me. There's just some, like, it's hard to describe at times, but that feeling you get, right? Maybe it's the maker in me, but there's just something about putting something there, bringing whatever it is, and building it, right? Like, unfortunately, I was never, by the way, tall enough or strong enough for construction. So this is the next best thing for me, right? I imagine if I was, that probably would have been the things that I would, like a carpenter or whatever, might have been something I wanted to do, right? I mean, I've helped people renovate a few things, right? And such, right? So there's just something about putting it together, like a tongue and groove, that kind of thing. There's just something about that. Yeah, drugs. You're just planning out the garden since you grow and sell seeds. Yeah, 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 yeah. Right. And you're going through that creation process of putting it together, right? And hopefully, like, obviously, ideally, you want to be able to be like, hey, I can get a harvest out of it. I can sell some of it, make some money on the side, maybe get some more materials to expand on it, right? I guess that would be the ultimate goal, is to be able to reproduce, not reproduce, what's the word I'm looking for? Propagate it, I guess, a little bit more, right? So yeah, I see. And that planning stage, right? And kind of kind of picturing it in your head what it could be at the end, right? It's just like as a content creator for people that edit. I mean, this could be in the same way for like thumbnails and stuff like that, right? I know drops you. I know you shown that video about using uh that online site for Pia, right? Making a thumbnail, for example, if you want to use it, right? You know, we picture this stuff in our heads, right? And we're just trying to get it from that concept stage or idea stage into reality, right? Or on the screen from your mind onto your screen, right? Being able to transfer or what's the word? Yeah, transfer it onto the screen or into the real world, right? Or what we see as an idea, right? Because I would always assume that in terms of creating, right? Regardless if it was the Stone Age, the Bronze Age, the Iron Age, whatever, right? Someone had came up with an idea or thought of something or as an idea. It's like or saw something and kind of like, hey, wait a second. If I took this, combine this with this, could it make something better or more useful or a tool that I can use, right? Because imagine back in the Stone Age, long, long time ago, right? Someone came up with this idea, right? Someone, or people, anyways, came up with this idea of like maybe they mimicked it from something that was naturally made. Like, I'm assuming we probably mimicked it from someone naturally made or saw something similar. Hey, maybe someone saw a seashell and it's like, hey, what happens if I change this rock to make it look like this shell? And then they realize that, hey, I could use this for cutting. And then the concept or that idea caught on, right? And it started to snowball forward. I was gonna say rock or stone ball forward, but that makes sense. But yeah, right. And there's just something about that and just caught on, and people realize how that idea is like, oh, hey, I could do that too. I could do that too, right? And that knowledge got passed down, and then people got more experienced at it, right? I mean, nowadays that kind of thing is lost art, right? I mean, I've met a few people out there, not in the real world, but I've met a few people here on YouTube that done foot napping, right? They've shown it on their live streams or whatever. I'm just like, wow, all right. I've tried it. It is definitely a skill. It's definitely a skill for flint napping or what's that called, pressure flake and stuff like that. Trying to get it right because you have an idea of what it's gonna look like, right? But until you do it, right? And it's one of those things that you know sometimes in creation mode, right? There's this one step or this one process, right? If you do it wrong, it screws up the whole thing, right? Because if you think about foot napping, there's a certain point where if you do this wrong or don't take the time at it, you'll ruin it because it'll break in half, and then you don't have the whole tool anymore, right? Where it becomes, if you go past this one point, it'll be destructive, and you won't be able to gain it back, and you'll have to start over, which is, you know, discouraging, but it is part of the creation process of it. Hi, Sunflowers. Hi, Vanessa Kitty. How are you all doing? Yeah, I know, Vanessa Kitty. I know what you mean. I still got snow outside. I still got snow outside right now. Still got it outside. So yeah. Let's see. Hmm. Let's see here. Yeah, carrots, orange. I got potatoes, onions, carrots. Okay, cool, cool. I see that in there. Mm. I'm trying to make sure I don't actually swipe down all the way on the screen because I'll refresh the stream, and yeah, it's not how I wanted to do it. Oh, well, you're doing well, Sunflower and Vanessa Kitty. It's nice to see you ladies here too, and join us on this creativity, maker, producer, insert very similar words to that CR word in the stream, right? Just something about it. And hopefully you two are all doing well. And apparently I just lost the right side of the headset, so I'll probably have to transfer back to my mobile device for the mic in a little bit here. Actually, I'll probably do that in a moment. I know, I thought I had more time on my headset. I started the headset at 100%. I can't believe that went down so fast. I thought I thought I had it charged all the way. I'm glad it's actually sunny outside. Really glad it's sunny outside right now. So yeah, Vanessa Kitty, I'll probably be. I hope to start eventually by the end of the month. It's possible because last year I did start at that time too. However, we had a little sooner or a quicker end to the winter last year. In the last couple of weeks, like literally, my snowbank here where I live doubled in size. We didn't have much snow in February. Like I did record some of this footage I had me walking. You can't even see barely any snow. Right? A couple weeks later, to today, there's 2 feet of snow. So there's a major difference, right? But we need the snow here anyways, out west, or it's been quite dry. Like literally, hopefully they'll still make up some of that snow that we need for the water. Well, make up the water that we need in the form of snow. You know, replenish aquifers, rivers. You know, here in Canada and stuff like that, right? So, like I said, yeah, snow is about knee height. Although I've seen it taller. Sorry, I keep getting these notifications. Hey, it's Cecilia. Hello, Cecilia. How are you doing, my Canadian friend? Hey, Cecilia. Can you pass some of that plus 16, 60 Fahrenheit weather down out west? You guys in the U.S., can you pass some of that nice warm air up north? That'd be nice. That'd be nice. I would appreciate that in advance. Okay. I'm kidding, by the way. It's actually supposed to get nicer out next week. By the way, I'm supposed to see above freezing. Hey, Cecilia, I might actually see the double digits again. And I say again because technically I've already seen above 10 already last month. Last month was just definitely one of those things. I saw above freezing, well below freezing, double digits, minus 35 Fahrenheit, minus 38 Celsius. And we had an extra day last month. So yeah, a lot happened last month already. So hopefully this month will be one of those, you know, it'll warm up, snow will melt, get access to the ground, you know, the soil temperature will warm up enough that I can actually start something, or at least try to start something. Let's say a cooler weather crop like green onions, for example, right? I mean, obviously, definitely not starting the sunflowers or the tomatoes yet. That's for sure. That's definitely for sure. But I might be able to start some onions. I actually do have some onions growing inside right now. Right? They're still going. They're still going. They're still going. They're still growing. So, you know, and there's just something about that too, right? Seeing that grow. You know, the creation process of bringing in the soil, some seeds, combining it with some light, or in this case, sunlight, some air, some some air out there that we have, and bringing it all together and combining it all together and getting a green onion to sprout from the ground and produce something that I can use to supplement for eating purposes, food, spice up the food and such, right? I've actually used some of this green onion for like soups and stuff like that. It's been very good. I can't believe I'm coming back to this food. Yeah, thanks. Yep, go figure. Hmm. Yeah, you're getting that rain again, Cecilia. Well, hopefully you'll get a little bit more sunshine this year, hey, compared to last year. Yeah, you think you're only gonna get flowers to plant by your front door? Oh, okay. Well, I know it's possible to grow the sunflowers because I tried it. I tried it. I tried to grow. I grew a sunflower in a container, and I grew a sunflower on technically on the north facing side where it never saw midday sun. So pretty much from like 11 to like 4 o'clock in the afternoon, never saw midday sun. Only saw even morning and evening sun. Although that was still about 5 to 6 hours of daylight. So it was at that minimal, right? Obviously, it's not going to be as big or as tall as the ones that I have on the south facing side that see a full day of sun, but yeah, it's still possible to get flowers. And flowers that are big enough that the pollinators, the bees, and such will want to come by and pollinate it. It's 63 over there for you, Arik. That's about 17 Celsius, by the way, Cecilia. Everyone else, not in the U.S. That's about 60. Yeah, 17 Celsius. Let's see here. Uh, it's always cloudy. I'm getting sun today, Cecilia. I mean, it's just below freezing. It's probably -3, -2 right now, give or take. It's way warm out, actually. I might actually have to like bring out this kind of transitional jacket that I have. When it was since it was cold the last couple of weeks, relatively speaking, I've been wearing this winter jacket back again. And then I think I need to put on this fleece jacket back on again. I mean, I'm really warm in this jacket right now. Well, it's actually black too, so it's absorbing the solar energy like no one's business right now. I feel really warm with it on because I was out here this morning and I was just like, compared to this morning, it's like a heat wave out here right now. Whereas people say around here or probably everywhere else, it's t-shirt weather and stuff like that. Okay, okay, I've caught back up with the chat here. So yeah, are you gonna be? You're still planting the garden, aren't you, Cecilia? I'm assuming you are, right? Especially if you can get some of that sunshine back. Because I know last year you had some issues amongst some other things with raining too much. And ironically, the sunflower I named after you kind of fell because I have too much water. Ironically enough, but it did show me a lesson there. All right, too much water. A sunflower can get too much water, especially once it's actually in bloom, because the head gets too heavy. That's actually what happened to that sunflower, Cecilia. It actually just got too heavy. The base got too weak from the water. and then the top of the head was too heavy, and then it just fell over. Because I went for a walk, and I came back, it was on the ground. I was like, oh, damn it. Can't believe that, right? That's why I didn't make you. I know you wanted some seeds over that. That's why I did not guarantee any of it. Yeah. But thinking is, I planted a lot more. I had some spares that I planted. I created a few more spares. So that was nice. What's up with me? Let's see here. Yeah, maybe Cecilia, maybe. What I've been up to, Sunflower? Well, I'm trying to get a video for the end of this month. I need to start the videos, well, recording and editing the videos for next month. I've been trying as a content creator because this actually started because of the Sunflowers. Actually, that's quite funny and ironic too. But because last year I was showing the sunflower process of it what you guys saw it as, starting with a little bitty seed, transplanting it, growing it inside, transplanting it outside, having it kind of reach its adolescent type of stage, right, where it's a couple feet tall, all the way to that mature state where it's flowering and seeding, and all the way to the harvest, right? I couldn't show that in real time. And I need a buffer zone of time to show that because I still had to edit the content and among some other things, right? Therefore, I had to schedule those videos in advance, right? Just so I get the timing down, right? Well, which is say because of that, I decided to keep going with the scheduling on the channel a little bit more for the videos. So I have a buffer zone of videos. So I'm trying to maintain that. Because as a content creator, and for everyone out there, right? Sometimes these videos that you record or edit or produce or want to put together, right? Sometimes some of them are put together a little bit faster, while other times some of our videos content takes a little bit longer to produce because you gotta wait in real time for it to actually happen. Like for anyone that's seen the flip books that I did on the sunflowers, right? I ha- there was no way I could show that in real time. I had to show that, and that was over 10, 12, almost 2 weeks of time, right? I pictured every single day in the same location, night and day, evening, morning, whatever, right? I so what you saw, let's say in September, that was back in August. I needed that buffer zone of time, right? I couldn't show that in real time. So I had to schedule it, and it just worked easier that way. And lately, I've been noticing more and more that as a content creator, scheduling helps the content creator or the host of the channel much more. You you guys, you folks out there, just see it whenever it appears to be public, right? Or premiered or whatever, right? Unless I say otherwise in a live stream or in video or on a side chat, right? But scheduling helps the content creator, not necessarily to give you the time to put out the video, to make the next video, to edit the video, to shoot the content for it, or in my case, for the flipbook, to take a picture every single day for like 10, 12, 14 days straight, right? Which also meant that I actually had to be home to record that, all right? Because I turned down a camping trip because my sunflower was blooming at that time. So I turned that down. Yeah. But luckily enough, I managed to get another mini camp out before that happened. So yeah, that's what's up. Let's see here. Where am I? Oh yeah. I remember that. Yeah, you had so much rain, no sun. Yeah. Now hopefully Cecilia will turn out better this year. You know, you barely have room seats turned. Oh yeah. You were mentioning that, and I remember that now, Cecilia. You were kind of indirectly mentioning that last night with me. I remember that conversation with the glass jars and all that stuff. Yeah, I remember that. Okay, what I'm gonna do here is actually transfer my headset here. Headset here. Let me know if you guys can still hear me. I'm assuming because my indicator on my icon is still doing that ringy thingy, so I'm assuming you guys can hear me. I'm assuming you guys can hear me. All right, 82% on my phone. Let's see how long this lasts. Randomly for me, and hopefully it doesn't cut out while I'm doing this too. So yeah, I'm working on this spot right here. See, speech of creating, all right. I'm trying to create some bare soil. Come on, camera. Camera. See, I'm trying to. See, it is melting though. I'm trying to create something here, right? Obviously, it's wet. Obviously, right? I have chopped and dropped some stuff in here since the fall. Kind of hard to notice anything. Obviously, there's some leaves in here still and such, right? So, and a random stick that I have over here. No. And my random ice scraper. It's still winter here for me. It's still winter here for me. But usually this spot right here gets dried out or thaws out the fastest. Gets warmer, fast. It gets warmer faster because it's right next to a building and it's self-facing and it receives, especially when it's sunny out, a lot of sunshine and heat. But on the downside of stuff, in the heat of the summer, it gets really hot. Like depending what I have there, I may have to water it more frequently. And actually, that's the same spot I've because it's well, it's like to the right of it, that on that bed contains the tiger lilies that I usually have. Those are usually the first things that literally Mother Nature creates in terms of a flower for me. Usually, it's the first thing I see because it's on the self-facing side. I may actually do that again. That actually reminds me. Maybe I'll do that again this year. Show it again. That reminds me last year when I did that back in April and May. Last April, May. When I shot some videos slash pictures. Just took some pictures of it and showed the progress of that. It was nice to see that. Hi. Hi, Karen. How are you doing? Good afternoon. Yeah, it's still afternoon, right? Yeah, it's almost evening. I keep forgetting. It's almost. Is it? It's like almost sunset out east, isn't it? Probably another hour or so till sunset. I still got, let's see, extend my hand on one. I still got hours before sunset here. I know. Hey, pass some, pass some heat. Pass some heat so I can melt this. By the way, pass some heat out east. That'd be nice. Yeah, you're still knitting, hey? Yeah. Oh yeah. It's this weekend, isn't it? Oh, I gotta remember that. I gotta remember it. A lot of people have been mentioning about that. At least on the bright side, it's supposed to be warm this week. This after today, well, especially after today, this weekend, next week. Hey, hey, I actually may see double digits or really close to double digits. Oh, FYI, that means above 50 Fahrenheit for you guys in the US. When I say double digits, everyone in the US is like, what are you talking about, CR? Above 50 Fahrenheit. Because 50 Fahrenheit equals 10 Celsius. Such. Let's see, where am I? I can't believe my phone battery's dropping so dang faster. Dang. Well, Cecilia, I'll change that, Cecilia. I'll try to remember to add you as a channel moderator. It's because I'm on that StreamYard side right now. I think because I don't remember I have the side chat enabled for the stream for after on the replay, because I would have to go back and grab your channel link and insert it into the moderator list that I have. Although I may actually need to update the moderator list anyways. Unfortunately, there's a few that I need to take off of there for now, just cause. But I'm hearing the birds. I think I hear a squirrel. I know I hear the birds for sure. Well, Cecilia, because I'm on the StreamYard side right now, I would have to exit out. I can't quite do it right now. But yeah, no, I've known her so long. I knew when her channel name was before she changed it. That's how long I've known Buttercup for. Yeah. Oh, I gotta plug in my phone. Hold on a second. I really hope my headset has some sort of charge to it. It's working. Alright. Yeah, I think. Let me double check her. I'm sure I'm not got that. No, it's still on my. Yeah, it should be working. You guys should be able to hear me again. I'm back on the headset. I know there's a noticeable difference when I do it. Yeah, exactly. When you were Mama Bear's backpack, yeah, I still remember that. I met you through that. I'll always remember. It's Adventure Time. I always remember that. That's like of all the things I remember, right? Of all the things I remember from the channel, is like that. It's always that. I still remember that. I'm trying to. I think that was. I think there was snow outside in that video. I'm still trying to remember that. Amongst some other things. Yeah, those memories are coming back now. But yeah, sometimes in creating, sometimes you gotta modify it, update it, right? So as content creator, sometimes you update it, right? A channel name change, and it's probably something I would probably not do on this channel. I don't think I would actually change this channel name. I mean, add to it. I don't think I would actually change it, just because I feel like this name incorporates or covers a lot of the CR things I like to do. You see how I just used 2 CR words without even planning it? Like it was always meant to be. I don't know why I randomly grabbed a shovel in my hand. I need to grab not a winter shovel, but an actual shovel dirt shovel in my hand soon. Get some dirt time. Hey, it's Howie. Good afternoon, Howie. How are you doing? Nice to see you in here. Little gardener, right? I know Howie likes to create because he likes to create pathway soil. That's what he likes to create. I know that. I so know that. I so know he likes to create that. Is this right? I mean, I do what I can with the chop and drop here. You can't see it because it's all covered with snow, but there's chopped and dropped items underneath, right? Because I've been trying to create a better area for gardening purposes, right? You know, like even for anyone that didn't see my, when did I post that? Back in October of 2023, or maybe in late September, where I chopped and dropped, well, left some leaves on the ground. All right, it's actually in the spot that I actually had the sunflowers growing, so I'm trying to create some better ground over there, and hopefully it'll help for this year and stuff like that, right? I can't see what's underneath because it's covered with snow right now. I just assuming that it's breaking down. I'm just assuming that it'll break down and create some nice fine soil underneath. Hopefully. Let's see. You need to find out what a good forest is. You never heard of the term until last month? Okay. Yeah, exactly. Hashtag pathway soil bank, right? Yeah, yeah. I'm trying to increase the potential of the soil here, so so I can be on the path to that too. It sounded funnier in my head. It sounded better and funnier in my head. Yeah, yeah, exactly. You know, I wasn't trying to make this into the gardening talk, but gardening is a form of creating, so yeah, my channel, whatever. But yeah, I've been trying to do that a little bit more. Kind of on the fifth, sixth year of doing that, now on a more consistent basis. I've been noticing the results a little bit more. It seems like I'm noticing it more. In the first 1 or 2 years, I didn't notice it as much, but I think as the stuff's breaking down more, as I'm adding to it, right? Because I'm adding to it, it's increasing the fertility of it. Hence, I'm able to insert create word in there, make more things, or have more things growing, or be more productive. Yeah, yeah, productive. Producing or producing isn't our word for creating, right? I guess I could talk about that. Take care, Cecilia. Let's see here. Where am I? Collecting blanket soil from the soil floor from the forest is where you live here and use to grow is the same. Okay. I'll just highlight that on the screen. All right. Cool. Yeah. You know, kind of bring this back to the start of how I started this stream, or even how I started the channel, right? Because there is other times where I've done these VRs or question things about being a content creator or why you started your channel, right? One of the main reasons I started this channel was to express the creativity that I have, my willingness, for lack of a better word, to wanting to create something. Because, well, just because I wanted to. As I pour myself a little bit of coffee here. Hence, why in the beginning, especially in the beginning of the channel. You saw me creating a lot of these kits. You saw me reusing a lot of things. Now, the reusing or the recovering of the resources has just extended since I started the channel. It became just something I just did. Oh yeah, nothing like nice warm coffee on a nice cool day. Nothing like that. But it's just one of these things that I just did more and more of. And as the channel has gone on, you've noticed that I've started to branch out on that creativity a lot more, right? In the last couple of years, I've started to add in some more creative type of things that I do amongst RCR words that I use, like recover resources and stuff, right? Because the resources, the materials are part of the creation process, right? And obviously some other things that I brought in, so the sewing stuff, right? This kind of digital arts editing stuff, right? Because to me, these are these are art forms being created for me, or to express my creativity, or to create something, right? Like even the sewing stuff, right? I've gotten messages like, especially some of the last couple ones that I've done, right? I didn't know this was possible, CR. I'm like, yeah, neither did I until I started doing it, right? Because I tried to look online, research it, enter in terms, search words, whatever, and never found anything about it. Or at least nothing even close, right? If there is, I just never found it. There could be something about it, but I just never found it, right? Hence, I decided to put it forth, right? And it's just something I just came up with. I'm not saying I came up with this idea, but I've never seen anyone else come up with it. Let's just say it, right? It was something because I just saw it, and like I was just thinking to myself, I can still convert this into something else, right? Yeah, with a CR in it, right? And I was just like, let's try this out, right? So I made a prototype, and then I'm like, I started to get a little bit more impressed by it in terms of like how it was turning out. Hence, you saw the build of it, right? And it just all came together, and I stitched the content together. Get it? Get it? How I said that? All right. So it seems. Oh, for anyone that's actually seen the video, you're probably like, "Oh my gosh, CR, did you just say all that?" I was like, "Oh yeah," but it was just something that allowed me to express those ideas, or these ideas that I think of. I'm like, can these become reality, right? Not just an idea or a concept, but become part of the reality that I have here, or for someone else to incorporate into what they do, right? Or able to do, right? Because sometimes you can't always buy your way out of stuff, right? Or buy your way a solution for something, right? Sometimes you have to create it from scratch, or at least bring stuff together and create it, right? You know, if you got the money, yeah, anyone with enough money or whatever can do a lot of things. But sometimes when you don't have a lot of money, or the funds are low, you got to get a little bit more creative, able to use the materials around you a lot better, right? That pretty much sums up what I do on the channel. Is I bring resources together. I create things with these. Sometimes, at times, thinking outside the box. That's outside that box. That's outside the room. That's outside the home. That's outside the neighborhood. That type of thinking, right? Because I've shown some people some of the things, right, that I do. And I'm like, that is so cool, CR. I'm like, Yeah, yeah, and sometimes they're not just original ideas. They're not always original ideas. Sometimes I'm mimicking or I've seen other things, right? I'm like, you know, let's see if I can create something like this, right? Because this looks useful, or the idea seems like it's a useful idea. Why don't I try to recreate this for myself? And of course, you would learn from the experience of it to gain experience with it, right? The knowledge of whatever it is, what let's say it's sewing or whatever, right? You know, and develop those skills a little bit more. Then, in turn, would allow you to create something even more because now you kind of open up that box. I was gonna say Pandora's box, but you start to open up that box of possibilities just because you decided to venture into this creation mode of said item or whatever gear, material, whatever you're trying to build, and you realize, hey, wait a second. If I did this, or I could add this in, and I'm talking about like in terms of sewing, by the way. I can add this in. Now I can add this in. I've done this. And you're building that foundation of what you've been able to create. I mean, what you can create from things that you created in the past, if that makes any sense. Because that can apply to sewing, that can apply to general preparedness, that can apply to like fabrication, that can apply to editing too, right? And building upon that foundation that you've made in the past, and building upon that, right? Because you gain a little bit more knowledge about it, you've increased your skill level on it, and of course the experience level goes up because you're doing these things and going through that creation process of it. So hopefully that makes sense. Hopefully it does. So prep for it. I appreciate you dropping by. Let's see where I'm at. You're expanding your gardening was a healthy way to turn grass. I mean, one of the channels out there say about the cardboard method, right? You know, you layer brown cardboard, preferably not anything bleached, right? And obviously you avoid the tape, such and such, right? And you layer it, overlap it, and such, right? It'll add back into the ground, into the soil in time, right? Because it cuts off that kind of light and such from the grass and such. I've seen other people do that. I've actually seen people in the real world, people nearby me that have done that because I saw them doing it with my own self, right? Like, yeah, like, if it wasn't things in the way, I'd be able to see it. But, you know, I've seen other channels doing that. Even the bigger gardening channels doing that, Karen. So I know people have done it that way, where they pretty much like just suffocated out the grass, right? And then build upon that foundation. I like how I just brought the word foundation back in for my last thing I just said. Like it was always meant to be a segue. That was nice. Yeah. Place two cardboard, yeah. And then clothes and mirror on beds and wood chips for that. Yeah, yeah. That kind of thing. Exactly. Well, safe travels out there. By the way, prep for it. Yeah, I figured so much. I figured that much. Prep for it. All right. It's like 12 hours ahead, right? you're like, you're like, guys, I'm really tired because I'm really sleepy because it's 4 o'clock in the morning. All right. Hey, I've traveled before too, right? I know about that jet lag, especially if it's a 12-hour difference. A couple hours is one thing, but 12 hours or halfway around the world or whatever, way different time zone. Or you're used to night and it's day, or you're used to day and it's night, right? Yeah. couple days affects you the first couple days. You just got to get used to it, or sleep when it's actually dark, or when it's actually like, let's say 9 p.m., 10 p.m. local time, wherever you are at that time, right? And going to bed, right? And then readjusting to it when you get back. So I don't know how people deal with it that have to fly everywhere or whatever. I guess they just get used to it in time. All right? You just have to recreate a biological clock. I'm trying to relate it into creating somehow, because that's the theme for my stream is creating, or creativity, making, producing. Oh yeah. Aww. It's Richard from Bentley's Backwoods Bushcraft. How are you doing, Richard? Tell Michelle I said hi to. It's nice to see you, my friend. Richard's been with me for a long period of time, and I've seen what Richard can create out there too. All right, not just bushcrafting type of things. Let's just say like a metaphoric net or whatever, or fish trap or whatever. Right? And I've seen everything you've done before, Richard. Right? I remember that little metal Christmas tree you made. That was interesting. That was interesting. I don't think I've seen that before in terms of for that video, but I was like, oh, that's interesting. Especially if especially if you get to use it year in year again, right? Not just for 1 year, but like multiple years. Let's just say you get 5, 6 years out of that, right? That's kind of cool. That's kind of cool. And it's kind of a very unique piece, right? Not quite, but almost one of a kind, right? Because I've been I wonder if you would call that fabrication or metalworking. Because technically it's metal because you're using an aluminum can, right? And you're making something out of it. So can you call that fabrication or metalworking? Maybe. Maybe. It is metal, right? Oops. Okay. So that reminds me of that fabrication thing, right? Like, I don't have a welder here. That's something I know my friends do. By the way, I have a couple friends that have welding equipment. Could that tack weld or something like that, right? I'm actually next time I talk to them, I think I need to speak to them about that, right? Because one of my other friends mentioned it, right? He's like, "Hey, Sarah, I'm getting into welding, right?" And he said, if the project's not too big, I'll do it for free, right? I'm like, okay, cool, right? Obviously anything bigger, because obviously there's cost and run the equipment and stuff like that. But I was just like thinking to myself, because it reminds me, I'm like thinking of like, maybe I can. I had this idea of coming up with like one of those like a folding stove or something like that. Because I was talking to them for a little bit over last September or August, whatever, right? When it was still nice out. When it's still sunny and warm out, right? I was just like thinking to myself, that'd be kind of interesting, right? A little bit different from like a rocket stove or a hobo stove that I've shown in the past, right? Something you can create with cans, right? Something the only tools you need is cutting tools, right? But making an actual folding stove, right, that collapses down, that'd be really interesting, right? Especially if my friend or friends that do that or have the equipment to do that show me how to do that, right? Because then I would be able to recreate it again, right? Because they're showing me that knowledge, right? Gaining that skill, gaining that experience in doing it, and it was just like, and then I'd be able to potentially recreate that again and again, all right? I haven't seen them for a while, and my girlfriend I haven't talked to for a while, but because he actually follows me on the channel. Because he actually does some scrap. He does metal scrapping, right? So because I've been thinking about that. You know, because I've been not really diving into the scrapping community, like metal scrapping and stuff like that, but I've been considering it as a form of the resource, right? Because you take a piece of steel or whatever, a piece of metal like that, right? Awkward, different shape, a tube or whatever, right? If you're able to convert that, just give me 1 sec. Just give me 1 sec. Hold on a sec. Just give me 1 sec. Hold on. Sorry about that. Someone had to speak to me. But, if you're able to convert that, change it, right? You'd be able to create something out of it again, right? You know, and that's, obviously I'm kind of inching towards like a forge or something like that, right? Now, both of my friends do not have a forge, by the way, right? But I know they have tools like grinders, right? Even a welder, right? That could be a first step towards that, right? Because that could allow me to dive into other forms of creating, all right? For lack of a better term or word, fabrication, right? Metal fabrication, right? Because that would expand the possibilities what I can do. Try out these ideas that I haven't been able to do yet because I simply do not have the tools available, right? The materials are out there. I can get access to the materials. It's actually the tools that kind of limit what I can create, right? It's just like, you know, wood's wood's easy to come by, but without the fasteners, cutting tools like a saw, drills to make holes and pilot holes, screws to secure it, or screws, wooden screws, nails, or whatever to secure it, it's kind of hard to work with, right? I mean, yeah, you can, even with a simple thing like a knife or a machete, yeah, you can actually make something. Like a knife and a saw with a piece of wood, you can make something. Because I've shown that before, where I've made like a little baton stick, right? For batoning wood or whatever, right? I've made that before, right? Unfortunately, someone burnt it on me, but whatever. But I know the knowledge I had to create that, so I can create it again if I have the material. Which actually, now that I think about it, maybe I'll try that again, you know, and recreate that, right? This is actually the same baton stick that I showed how long ago. I probably showed it back in 2019, I think, where I showed where I actually solar engraved it in, by the way. So it was burnt in the words, right? I was just like, yeah. But it's just one of those things that I picked up. I'm like, oh, I could do that again. I mean, if I've indirectly tried stuff similar to that, but later on, but I'll have to try it again. Sometimes when I go camping or whatever, right? I've actually extended that from a baton stick to like a walking stick, right? Because the only difference is the length, or what I'm using it for, right? But the procedure is very similar, and adapting that kind of to it, right? Right? Because people were looking at me making a walking stick while I was camping. It's like, and we were leaving campground, and they're like, "Hey, CR, yeah, aren't you done taking your walking stick? The one that you have feathers on or whatever. You silver engraved it or engraved it or whatever, right? Burnt it or whatever." I'm like, "No, why not? I thought you created this. I thought you figured you wanted to take it home or something." I'm like, "No, I just did this for fun. Something to do while we were out here, right? A tool that I can use while we're out here, right? Aren't you done this or whatever?" I'm like, "No," because the skill, the knowledge, the experience of it is more important, right? Because if I have the material again, and obviously the right tools or whatever, right? I can do it time and time again. I'll be able to recreate it time and time again. Because the more important thing to me was being able to actually have the experience in creating it in the first place, right? Because sometimes, like a lot of things at times, the biggest hurdle for something is actually the beginning of it, right? Because you have no experience in doing it, no knowledge of it, or very little knowledge, very little skill in doing it, and no experience in doing it, right? But once you do it the first time, the second, third time just get a little bit easier because you have prior experience or knowledge of it. You realize, let's not make that one mistake again, right? So from there, you keep going on, and hopefully, yeah, you just keep going on, right? So I'll probably go. Speak of going on, I'll probably go until the bottom of the hour unless otherwise stated because apparently I really need to top up the headset all the way. Apparently, but yeah. So I'll probably close out the show at the bottom of the hour. So 3:30 Pacific, 6:30 Eastern, and everywhere in between, and I'm around that, right at the bottom of the hour. I do appreciate you guys, you folks, you gals, you people out there joining me this time, wherever you are, afternoon, whatever. Shout out to the replay gang. If you're catching this on the replay, you can timestamp this spot right here, and I'll be like, "Oh, so you did see, you did, you did chime in or notice that I asked the side, the the replay game to timestamp this spot, this 2 hour and 1 minute spot here." But yeah, I hope hopefully you guys all realize. Well, I shouldn't say realize, but understand that creating is not just is something that we all can do in one form or another. One form or another. I don't care if you're sewing, you're fabricating with metal, you're wood crafting, you're editing, you're gardening, you're building something. You know, you're putting a survival kit together. You're putting it together some sort of go bag figure of some sort, right? Bringing a plan, drawing down, creating a plan, right? Creating a shed, building a shed, creating a business, right? To a certain degree, relatively speaking, those are all forms of creating, right? Enjoy the creation process as much as possible, right? You know, sometimes it can be kind of frustrating. Don't get me wrong, right? Sometimes creating can be frustrating at times, even for me, right? Like when I'm editing, it's just like, why isn't this doing this? Why is this not working right, right? And you're trying to troubleshoot that. Or why isn't this fitting? You know, I've measured 3 times, right? Cut once. Why is this not working, right? And you're trying to fine tune it as much as possible, right? But remember, on that same part of the coin, when it's working perfectly the first time you're doing it, right? Works on the first time, right? And it feels like you're having beginner's luck or whatever, right? Just remember that, right? Just remember that. For every time that you have bad luck or not beginner's luck, sometimes you have beginner's luck and stuff, and it just comes together like it was always meant to be. You know, where these creations or whatever you're creating was always meant to be, right? Where from what you pictured in your head or kind of can visualize it in your head or the words are going through your head and you're able to get it into a more concrete form on a sheet of paper, on the screen, um, in that metaphoric backpack, in the ground, where it's creating something and you're noticing that process. You've gone through the process and you're realizing this was worth it, right? Or as the movie would say, the juice was worth the squeeze, right? And realizing how great it became at the end, right? Always remember that. Remember that, right? and use that to drive you to keep creating, whatever it is, right? Because I know it can be daunting, right? Hey, even creating can be time consuming too, right? Because you have to put the effort in, right? Some form of effort, whatever it is. Even no matter how much the process is automated, right? No matter how much, even with power tools, you're oh hey CR, I'm using power tools, not hand tools, it's faster. Yeah. Well, there's still some time you have to spend in it, right? There's still a degree of time, even through right some sort of automation process, right? There's still some thing you still have to input into that process, the creation process of it. But realize that you can do it, right? Because I've seen many people out there now, more people that, especially as I've gone throughout this journey on this channel, met more people like yourself out there, right? And noticing that a lot more of you are able to inform in terms of creating as a whole, creating different things, have different ability and the ability to do more things, different things, right? I've seen people. Oh, hey, they know how to fabricate. Now they know how to edit, like digitally video editing to a certain degree, right? They're understanding that, right? And then there's other people that are like other content creators that are really good at editing and realize, hey, I could see, I see them gardening, building something, right? So it's not, they're not just building or creating something in a virtual environment, but in the real environment itself, right? Out in the real world too, right? And it always brings a smile to my face, right? Because seeing you guys and gals diversify what you can create, produce, make, whatever, insert CR, creativity, create related words, make, produce, fabricate, insert those words, right? Every time I see that, there's just something about when I see that, it always motivates me to up my game and try other things too, or you know, do something, and not just in the digital world in terms of editing, or not just in the real world in terms of hey, I'm making this with wood or plastic or melting plastic to make something to make a handle for this, or wood to make this, or or a piece of metal that I'm fabricating or grinding down or making XYZ tool instead. That's different, but all of it together, right? That is something to be proud of in my books, anyways. So this is the 2-minute warning here for this stream. I appreciate you folks joining me, and hopefully this motivates you, encourages you with a CR in it to do something more, whatever it is, right? Because I've seen people do so much more out there lately. Maybe with a little bit more motivation since 2020, but there is some motivation out there, all right? And use that to keep driving you to not just become better, but or create more, but just because you know you can do it, all right? You're able to do it, all right? Maybe you never did it before, but it doesn't mean you can't do it. Just because you've never done something doesn't mean you can't do it, right? Just gotta try, right? Put forth the effort, the time, all right? You know, maybe it's confusing, hard, difficult at first, right? But in time, you might grow to enjoy that creation process of whatever it is. Could be editing, could be woodcrafting, could be sewing, could be cooking, right? I've seen other people that are good at this, not good at this, right? But lately, I've noticed that they're trying other things out, right? Not necessarily because they're watching me. But it's cool because they're watching me, but they're like, hey, Sierra, I tried this out. And you're like, you know, it's cool because when I hear other people trying stuff out, like I said, it motivates me to up my game on it too. And show that, you know what, if this channel, this person, whoever I'm really talking about, no one specific is trying this out, I can do this too. You know, I can do this too, right? And kind of metaphorically mimic that. Anyways, everyone, like always, let me actually bring something up here. I appreciate everyone watching me here, listening to me, and hopefully, no, not hopefully. I know you all can create a better future starting today. Forget it. Hopefully, I know you can. It's in you. It's part of who we are. All right. We created stuff in the past. People have created stuff in the past, and we can still create stuff today and onward into the future. So everyone, take care out there. I appreciate everyone dropping by. And remember, things are changing out there, but we can adapt too. Skills and knowledge get better with practice. Try to help someone out there, everyone. And until then, next video / live stream for me. Appreciate everyone dropping by on this stream. Take care and go create something awesome out there. Cause it's what we do as content creators and people that like to create. Take care, everyone. Oh, and by the way, it's no place like home to say. Take care. Bye.